What's next after high school? Turning 18 is a momentous transition point for young adults with disabilities, and the planning needs to start early. Henderson Hall Exceptional Family Member Program spoke with one Northern Virginia family, Cameron and his mother Christina, about the choice he made and the factors they considered together. Cameron's experience is unique to him and showcases just one potential future. If your EFMP enrolled family member is nearing post-secondary transition, contact your family caseworker to discuss possibilities.
So my name is Cameron, fresh out of high school, and just went to Wilson.
We consider different colleges, Northern Virginia Community College, also Nova. We considered the normal 4-year college. And then just in talking to members of the community and of the school, we learned about DARS, the Department of Aging and Rehab in Virginia. And through DARS, we learned about the Wilson Workforce Readiness Center, which is a college set up for people with disabilities, both physical and behavioral health. And it helps them get a vocation.
I considered going to Nova and then more or less a school with options that tells you about yourself that you may not know about yourself. And then I was introduced to DARS, which is a program, and then I was introduced to Wilson.
My one concern with Wilson was him being out by himself, and would he be okay? With a concern I had if he had gone the Nova route was how would he be with the core classes, the ones you have to take, the English, the math, the science. Would those be a struggle, and would those hold him back? So those were my two concerns with both. Early high school, middle school, early high school, we started thinking about what would he be best at.
It was nerve-wracking for the first time, but in most ways it's more or less nerve-wracking for the first time for everyone. So those out there, you're not alone. But majority of the time, it's always going to be nerve-wracking rather than having your parent do it, because they're always used to doing it. I talked about what I was considering after high school. Then they told me about Wilson, and then they told me the options. And some of the options I considered were technology, a lot of stuff with technology, which is more or less what I'm into. And then I found out about building trades, and then I said that's one I want to go after. I chose the Vocational Education Center because it's very broad and slower paced, and I'm into that kind of stuff, so I like stuff slower paced. And so it was more or less better for me, to say the least. And also it gave me a lot of options to teach me about myself that I may not know. The social life on campus is pretty dramatic. However, a lot of it is nice, and the campus itself is peaceful. I find it very nice because it's in an area that is isolated and that you're kind of around people like you, and you kind of always have something in common. My classes. So they had soft skills and then communications, and then we went to our 3 business classes. So our soft skills were like communications and about the workplace, communication was more or less shifting from generation to generation. What I mean by that is talking to your friends, to your parents, to other adults, because we're all born in different generations and talk differently. And then that's about the communications, and then the building trades and like those classes, those were more or less technical, to say the least, because they were in a very specific category in themselves. My favorite things about school, specifically Wilson, is that it's very straight to the point. There's no beat around the bush. It's just straight to the point. And if you don't get it once, you ask, and no one's gonna, if you're out there and you felt like you were gonna be made fun of, they're not gonna do that. Because they're straight to the point. They don't beat around the bush and don't play around. My least favorite things was the drama and the timing about the classes, because it's a little bit longer than high school and than regular schooling.
We have worked with him on finances. We've worked with him on cooking, basic life skills. One good thing about Wilson is he has to keep his dorm room cleaned, and they randomly check. They keep different flyers in the rooms on how to appropriately clean, so if it's something he doesn't know how to do, he can learn how to do it while he's there. Wilson is a state-run school, so it's run primarily through the state of Virginia. They do look at the family to contribute to the education. They do that by looking at the tax return that the child is on, whether it's their own or they're still on the parents. The max that the family will pay is $100 per month.
Job experience, I was a sophomore in high school. Unfortunately, it was virtual year. However, it was March. I had just turned 16, so I could get a job, and this is something I don't regret because I had a source of income, and it taught me money advice and financial advice. And it was April when I got my first job at JCPenney's, and then about 5-6 months later, I was hired at the VFW where I work now. What I would like to do after high school, or Wilson rather, after I graduate, I'd like to become an electrician assistant, making pretty good money to have a decent lifestyle to where I'm not making too much, I'm not making too little, and I can provide for myself and if I ever start a family. And then where I'd like to live is in Virginia because it's so cool to the area where I'm familiar with and also where I grew up around, and I'm close to family. What I'm looking forward to is getting a job where I can fully work, drive, and provide for myself rather than living at home. I can say I'm out, I'm financially stable, I have a job, and I can provide for myself and my friends and family.
Maybe started a little sooner. Because now we've waited almost a year for him to go to school, and I think if we had started sooner, he could have just kept going.